You know, for some viewers of this channel, the fact that Tesla will not maintain 50 or 60% plus market share is a no-brainer. But I wanted to go over this in a bit of detail with some clear-cut analysis of what KPIs and metrics really matter in analyzing Tesla's place in terms of BEV market share and overall market share. This is Randy Kirk, and if this kind of content is helpful to you, or if there's any reason that you enjoy watching these shows, would you please hit the like button? Would you potentially even subscribe? Down below in the comments, in the descriptions, I've got a list of all the shows that are coming up over the next few days. And rather than describe them now, just take a look down there. And if those kind of shows appeal to you going forward, you might want to subscribe and hit the notify button. And then, as you can imagine, there is an expense in putting these shows out twice a day right now. In fact, yesterday we had 3 shows. So you might want to look into the possibility of supporting the channel by joining Patreon for just $5 a month, or possibly $10 a month if you like. All right, let's get right into it. Let me start with the basic math. Tesla is now selling about 18.2% of all BEV fully electric vehicles in the world. That's right, globally. That's right. Tesla is currently under 25%. So getting to 25% would mean that they would have gained market share. You may not have known that. People shout and talk about the 60%, 70%. No, globally, as a percentage of BEV sales, plug-in, fully electric cars, Tesla is only at 18.2%. Now, Tesla's share in the United States is 63%. So declining to 25% would seem to be a bad thing. But let's continue just a little bit more. Tesla's share of all vehicles, not BEV vehicles, but all vehicles sold globally is a measly 2%. And in the United States, it's also right around 2%. Now, the reason for that 2% difference between and all the other numbers I've already given you is that the distribution of Tesla vehicles is not even close to being equal. So California, Tesla sell like crazy, but Iowa, not so much. In the Netherlands, it's like 70%, 50, 60, 70% share of all vehicles. And yet you drop down to Spain, not so much. All right. Now, if Tesla sells 2 million cars this year compared to 1.3 last year, their market share worldwide will go up to closer to 3%. But Tesla will close to double sales in the United States because of Austin. You're going to have another 250 to 300,000 cars sold in Austin. So that means their market share in the United States will go from 2% to 4%. They're likely to double again in the US in 2024, getting them to 8%, the eventual goal of eliminating ICE vehicles and reaching 25% of the overall market in the US. So is it realistic that Tesla will be able to move up to that 25% of US sales? Well, they already have 17% of all vehicle sales in California, and that's without having a car in the under $30,000 in the $20,000 market range. And we know that Tesla will have that starting in late 2024 or into 2025. So that is certainly possible. Worldwide, the increase from 1.3 to 2 million will not double their share worldwide. Even if they hit 2.2 million, it won't double their share to 4% worldwide. It'll take until 2024 when they're likely to sell 3.3 million cars, which will give them about a 5% worldwide market share. All right. But as a percentage of all BEVs, their share will continue to drop as more competitors enter the race. All right. Does that start to make sense now? So you got to look at the market share by region, market share by state. You got to look at market share by BEV. Sometimes they don't just stop with BEVs. They throw BEVs and hybrids together, which they shouldn't do. And they say, oh, well, BYD, the car maker, is now ahead of Tesla. in the electric space because, well, they make all these hybrid vehicles. The truth is, Tesla is the world leader. They're the leader in China. They're the leader in Europe. They're the leader in the United States. They're the leader in California. Tesla is now the leader worldwide in fully electric BEV sales in every region, in every place. Okay. So, but if you throw in hybrids, BYD is ahead in China and I think also worldwide if you combine the two. All right. Is all of this that I'm talking about inevitable? Is Tesla so much better than any other car company that they'll always continue this increase in market share until they reach 25%? Well, in order to do so, you must, in order to believe it, in order for Tesla to do so, and for you to believe that they can do so, you need to assume three things. Number one, you have to assume that Tony Seba, Cathie Wood, Elon Musk, and Randy Kirk are right. I hate to put myself in that same group, but we all agree. Now, there's a whole bunch of other YouTubers and other pundits that agree also, but you have to agree that the S curve of BEV adoption has begun as global BEV sales passed 10% this year. According to disruptive theory, when a disruptive product reaches 10% of the market, it goes from being a gentle curve to being a S curve, the middle of the S curve going up exponentially. And so that S curve would predict a continuation of at least 50% year over year adoption, which as each 50% accumulates, then the numerical quantities go up dramatically. So if that happens and we get that 50% per year, it's obviously got to drive out something. And that means it's driving out ICE cars and hybrids. And think about that for a minute. What's going to happen to those other automotive companies that are depending on those ICE vehicle sales? It's going to come from someplace. Every million more cars that Tesla sells or that BYD sells means somebody else doesn't sell those million cars. All right, so how does that happen? Why is it going to happen? How could it happen so rapidly? Well, we are now at price parity. Tesla has been playing games all month, all year, actually, driving the price down. And apparently they know they can afford it. Their margins are still going to be better than any other ICE car, even after, and any other BEV car, even after they've driven the prices down so much. So they know they can afford to do that. I think that they're experimenting with pricing in order to see what they need to do in order to make sure they sell through 100% of their production this year. So you might see some prices start to pop back up again in certain territories, certain products. But whatever they're doing, I think they know what they're doing. And the goal is to sell as many as you possibly can. Now, what does that mean, though, in terms of the thinking of the marketplace? Well, if you could buy a car, I'm trying to imagine the person that if they're thinking about buying their next car and they can buy a car that has exactly the same basic look, so a decent, something that they can live with in terms of the look. The interior look is fine. The interior accoutrement is all fine. The seats are good and they work right. And, you know, you've got all the electric things on the seats and everything else that you would want in a general car. And it's the same price as an ICE car, the BEV, and they're about the same price, maybe even a little cheaper, especially if you throw in the IRA discount. And now the car requires no gasoline. It's 80% less expensive to fuel. You rarely, if ever, have to take it in for any kind of maintenance. You do need windshield wipers, windshield fluid, for washing your windshields, and tires. Definitely, you need some tires. And that's about it. And then, in addition to that, the car is safer and faster. I don't know. Why would you still have any interest in an ICE car? So yes, the adoption curve should go through as planned. So that would be number one. Number two, you're going to have to assume that Tesla will continue to make compelling vehicles, but they only have to be more compelling than their ICE equivalents. So compelling product, this is Elon Musk words, you must make a compelling product at a compelling price. Well, if you have a compelling product, way more compelling than an ICE vehicle, and it's at the same or lower price, then that assumption would be that you're going to continue to ramp up compared to that class of vehicles. Now, it also has to be compelling compared to other BEVs, but not that much more compelling. In fact, there will be plenty of cars. There already are. You can see it in the marketplace today where people are buying BEVs made by Audi, by Volkswagen, by BYD, by Geely, that are nowhere near as compelling as a Tesla. And even when you consider the price, but people are buying them. Why? Because they're into that brand or they like the particular look of that vehicle. So the compelling nature for Tesla, it just has to be good enough to continue to attract the huge market. There won't be enough cars. There will be a lack of vehicles in the BEV class compared to the number of people that are going to want them. Therefore, Tesla should be able to make sell all they can create going forward for at least multiple years. All right. Finally, you have to believe that Tesla, number 3, will execute on their expansion plans and that they will build the capacity necessary to make 20 million vehicles by 2030. Now, this might be the easiest one of all to believe because Tesla has the lowest cost of investment capital of pretty much any company in history. And that'll be proven out, I think, for sure, to where we can make that claim later this year, maybe in 2024. They don't invest nearly as much capital in every factory as Ford or General Motors or even the Chinese companies in terms of the number of cars or the dollar value or the profits that those cars will make. And the third thing is the most important. The amount of capital that you put into a factory in terms of the profit that factory will return per year is your cost of return on capital. Tesla is genius at this, and we believe they will continue to be genius at this. So right now they have capacity of I'm saying maximum capacity, maybe 700,000 in Fremont. Most people think that even though the capacity in Shanghai is about 1 million, that this will go to 2 million at some point. That's not 100% sure. Definitely we have capacity for over 2 million when you count Cybertruck down in Texas. And you've probably got capacity eventually for 2 million or more in Berlin. Then the New Mexico factory has got a planned capacity, we think, and it's not 100% sure, but roughly 3 million vehicles down there. And these will be the new Generation 3 platforms. So that's not counting the semi-trucks that are going to be made up in Reno. So those are the existing factories. And I would expect to hear about more gigafactories being announced in the not too distant future. My best guess is Indonesia, but there's some compelling reasons for South Korea or Japan. All right. So you have to believe that they will continue to execute. They will continue to build out these factories that they've already planned, that are already being built, and that they will continue to start new gigafactories in new locations. If you believe that all those things are true, then they'll have the 20 million necessary to fill the pipeline as we go along. But keep in mind, again, this is so important. It's so critical. Keep in mind that there will need to be other car manufacturers, Ford and General Motors and whoever survives, that are going to make the other 45 to 50 million electric cars that'll be necessary to take over the marketplace. And if those folks don't step up to the line and hit those numbers, we will have dramatic shortages in compelling vehicles at compelling prices because nobody's going to want ICE cars. And the result will be that'll drive the prices up of all electric cars and of all used electric cars. So the goal would be that all car companies that want to make electric cars and are starting to make electric cars or who currently are making electric cars will ramp up to meet this demand in time. So forget the market shares of BEVs as any kind of a guide. Tesla's market share of BEVs is not a guide. That's not a KPI. It's not a metric you should care about. Headlines by reporters and pundits that decry the market share of Tesla compared to other BEVs show a complete lack of understanding or even a blatant effort as clickbait. One of the two. Tesla killers are not a thing, and they won't be. Even great cars like the Polestar. I mean, it looks like a really, really good car. It's not a Tesla killer. You need the Polestar as part of the climb to 65 million or 70 or 75 million total BEVs by 2027, according to Kathy Wood and Tony Seba and me. So I think it's over in 2027. Not everybody thinks that. I think even Elon thinks it might be 28 or 29 before the ICE cars are completely wiped out. But that is my thinking, is 2027 is when it ends. All right. So keep all of these metrics in mind when you're reading the headlines. Keep all these metrics in mind when you're thinking about whether you're going to make greater investments in Tesla than you already have. This is not investment advice. I'm not an investment advisor, and this is for your entertainment only. And then do your own homework. So I hope this has been useful. If it has been, hit like, hit subscribe, hit notify, and then join up on Patreon and help support the channel. It's been great talking to you.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.